Hello everyone, this video is just my advice if I could do LeCom all over again. To start off, I'm just going to show you a little bit about Anki here in case you don't know it. Anki's a pretty complex thing to get into. First thing you want to do is go to AnkiHub.net and you want to download the latest Anking deck. For me, this was the V12 version. I had to pay a little bit to download it. Once you pay that money though, you have access to the deck. It's just the updates that you have to continue to pay for. So next you want to get the AnkiHub add-on, and you're going to have to sign into that in order to download the deck to your computer. So the first thing I want to show is how to make new decks, and so at the bottom of the screen there's the create deck button. So when you press that, it'll make a new deck for you, and this is just a way that you can organize your decks. And so you can do this double colon to create a deck inside of another deck. And this is something that I didn't find out until about December of my first semester at LeCom, so it took a long time for me to get into it. But the organization is really easy and handy for setting up different Anki decks. So once you've created a deck, you can add another deck inside of it using the colons, and you can do this as many times as you want. So for example, in my demonstration here, I'm doing, say it was semester 3 and test 1 for semester 3. So I'm going down into test 1. And you can add more decks into this. So you could do case 1, you could do case 2, and then on top of that you could do the different textbook chapters. So I just put Farm 12 for an example, and say there was a video that overlapped with the drugs for Farm 12. So what I'm doing here is going down to Sketchy Farm and going to say a video that overlapped with that chapter. So you can take all the cards and do the command Control D or Command D, depending on if you have Windows or Mac, and you can move it into that deck that you just made. And this is a good way to organize your flashcards for each video. So use this for PBL is what my advice would be. As you're going through each PBL case, you want to organize this so that you can do the cards that match up with the case. Now here's the setup for boards that I chose to do, and I would have set this up a lot earlier if I would have saved some time. So you want to make a deck called First Aid for Boards, and then underneath that deck you want to make subdecks, and these subdecks are for the first aid chapters. What this is doing is allowing you to create a deck that will have each chapter in it, so that once you're done with cards, you can just throw the cards all into these chapters, and it's going to be a good review for you when it comes to boards, just on the stuff that you've already completed. So here you see the first aid chapters. There's 16 of them from the edition that we used when we went through. So for example, all these cards in chapter 1 have tags that overlap with other videos like Boards and Beyond videos. So when I set it up, I called it Boards Prep, and I used FA and then the number for each chapter. So for example, when you're doing the chapters for your PBL case, you want to take those videos and you want to move them into your first aid deck once you've finished the block. So at the end of each test, I would do this. So you're going to want to go in and just do Command A, Command D, and move them all into the first aid sections. So all this is doing is it's getting rid of that massive Anking overhaul deck, and it's instead organizing them into first aid chapters. So like I said there, don't worry about doing the reviews. It's going to look like a lot, but that'll be something for your future self to worry about. So my advice is to do these resources: Boards and Beyond, Pathoma, Sketchy, and anything else that you'd want. Mainly the Sketchy Farm and Sketchy Micro. You can add anything else you want, but doing those will definitely cover all of the TrueLearn questions and all of the Your World questions that you'll have. So yeah, here's my advice for using this hierarchical tags and colorful tags add-on. I went through and every time I watched a video I would mark it green, meaning I did the video. But in hindsight, I should not have done that. What I should have done is labeled them different colors if they were videos that were good to rewatch. So like if you have a video that shows you a really good table and explained it super well, like nephritic nephrotic syndromes or something like that, or maybe something about the thyroid gland, I would assign this like a bright orange color or something, so that in the future when I'm looking at all the things that I've done, you can see, okay, this was a really good video and I should rewatch this video, instead of just having them all to rewatch later, because videos take up a lot of time. I watch videos at 3.7 times speed and I barely have enough time to get through it. So basically you're going to have tons of review cards if you do it like this, and I would not worry about them until you are just getting close to the end of boards, and then you want to read the first aid chapter entirely front to back, and you want to do all of the Anki cards that go with it. So basically when you get to boards prep, especially dedicated, all you want to do is review questions as much as you possibly can. So that's my advice. Let me know if you have any questions.